and see what Borneo is. Borneo is part of Malaysia. It's east of Singapore. Singapore's in that area.
How do you turn the lights on? Down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
One
it's,
of them maybe.
and it's
Well,
north of Australia.
Oh.
And it is bisected by the equator, and this is Borneo here. That right there. And there were several Australians that I ran into on this trip. Our destination was Sabah, the state on the northern tip of the third largest island in the world. Greenland is the largest, New Guinea is second, and Borneo is third. Borneo is divided into 4 states or political regions. Kalimantan, which is Indonesian, is on the bottom. Sarawak and Sabah, which is further north, is Sarawak here, and Sabah where I was up here. And then there's the Sultanate of Brunei, which is a tiny but very, very rich country.
So there's actually 4 countries?
Are they considered countries then?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Cool. My daughter Renee and I are leaving Dulles Airport at 9 p.m. on Qatar Airlines, arriving at Hamad International Airport in Doha, the capital of Qatar, at 4 a.m. Maryland time. This is a 13-hour flight. Qatar is a peninsula located in the Persian Gulf in eastern Arabia. Each seat had a large screen for entertainment. I mean, there had to be 60-some movie choices on there, plus singing and just almost anything you would want to entertain. So another option was to see where we were in our flight. This picture shows our approach to Doha. We had an interesting 3-hour layover here. And I consider the airports part of the trip. You know, the people you meet and the people you see in those airports are quite fascinating. This airport was beautiful, filled with classy shops and restaurants. The decor is very elegant. And this airport is 4 stories high. So we've got,
is that full of shops?
yes, on every level. And
It
then
goes
there's
to a
a
mall.
huge clothing shop down here on the main floor.
Is it duty free? Or is that even a thing there?
I don't think so. I don't remember. I saw these 2 Arab men in the typical Qatari robes, and their headdress is held in place with just a black rope ending in tassels. This is an example of some of the people that we saw. There's a Western-looking man and boy on the left, possibly a Mennonite woman in the middle, and then a woman in a beautiful purple garment with a young man, and then Western dressed women on the right. Starting at the first airport, every toilet had a bidet in both male and female toilets, even those that were a ceramic hole in the floor.
Especially those.
Everything was nice and clean. You know, I've heard my daughter has been to India and talked about the holes in the floor, that these were absolutely all ceramic, clean and immaculate. Our second 3-hour layover was in Kuala Lumpur, and that was the only city I had heard of before I started the trip, which is the capital of Malaysia. From there, we had a 2-hour flight to Kota Kinabalu, which was the final airport. We were met at the airport and taken to the Hyatt Regency, where we stayed for 2 nights before our tour started. So I was quite surprised by the modernness of Borneo. I wasn't sure what to expect. I really didn't think we'd be in grass huts, but I wasn't really sure. but it was very lovely.
So this was, excuse me, so this was a tour operator that took care of your flights
Oh,
and,
no, not the flight.
but they knew when you arrived, so they would take care of
Yes.
you.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yes,
nice.
yes. This is the view of the sea from the hotel pool area, and this would be the South China Sea. We saw white-bellied seagulls soaring over the harbor. And from the pool deck, we see the sun setting on our first view of Mount Kinabalu, which is a World Heritage Site and a future destination. The next morning, we found a huge fruit market near our hotel. Many vendors were selling produce, each in their own booth. They were very friendly and helpful, not aggressive sellers. The day market closes at 4 p.m., then the night market starts and is open till early morning. And this is my daughter Renee. We also found an indoor mall with many stores on 3 levels. Outside of this large store, there was a place to leave your packages while you shop. Stealing is rare. The crime rate is very low in Saba. Can you imagine just putting your things and going in the store and remembering which number you were? This is the plane we boarded for our flight to Laha Datu. There will take vehicles to our first lodge. A wonderful breakfast was delivered to our room at 6 a.m. We met in the hotel lobby at 6:30 to drive to the airport. The temperature is 90 degrees humidity and the humidity is 90% also. This is the map of our flight and tour. So here we are in Kota Kinabalu, and we flew over to Lahandota, and then we drove 40 miles into Dunham Valley, and from there on, we went on to our next stops, which we will get to. This is our travelers. There were 6 of us and 2 guides, a native guide. Here's our native guide. And then our regular guide that was with us the whole time. And everybody was from Maryland. I thought we'd have people signing up from around the world, but I actually had to recruit almost everybody but myself and Suzette slightly on the left. This is the view of the mountain range that runs down the center of Sabah, Borneo from the plane. Palm plantations. Thousands of acres of rainforest have been cut to plant palm nut trees for palm oil.
Oh.
Borneo has rainforests that are rich both in birds and mammals, many of which are only found there. The rainforest is logged and cleared to prepare for planting the palms. Palm oil plantations have endangered many of these species. Borneo pygmy elephants. The drive to Danam Valley Rainforest Lodge took 3 hours to go 40 miles. If there is fresh elephant dung, there has to be elephants. I saw many elephant signs, including sleeping beds right beside the road. Never did see an elephant. Our vehicle is crossing a river. The tires are slipping and spinning on rocks. 4 of us were in a van, 2 others plus a guide were in a F-150 pickup truck with our luggage. And that was the only Ford vehicle that I noticed there. This is our lodge. We have arrived at Rainforest Lodge in Danam Valley, rated one of the best lodges in all of Asia. We will spend 4 days here. The choice of food and accommodations is superb. The property is surrounded by tall rainforests. This is where we might see our first orangutan. And my daughter Renee is busy snapping the next picture. This is the view she was snapping. Notice the mistiness of the rainforest. And we were right beside the river. You can see the brown. All the water there is brown.
But is that mistiness from the just evaporation from the trees?
That and a certain amount of rainfall. Each party had their own guest house. You can see the jungle in the background. Notice the solar-powered water heaters on the roof. Charlie Hess, our guide throughout the trip, is on the left, and Ali, our local Malaysian guide, is on the right. This is our lounge meeting area of the lodge. Since this is rated as one of the best lodges in all of Asia, I wanted to show it to you with a reminder that is in the jungle. The week prior to our arrival, a clouded leopard was seen nearby.
Well,
This is the view from our daily eating area, looking toward the area where the food was served buffet style under the hanging lights. And they had, I mean, it was just a huge buffet of food, typical of all over the world, plus they had ice cream cones you could get. With any kind of toppings you wanted.
it sounds like a cruise ship.
We visited that every day. And this is a Malaysian blue flycatcher that's on some steps on the lodge grounds. Beautiful.
About how big was that?
It was about like a robin.
Looks good.
And this is Allie, our wonderful guide for 4 days. He is newly married, and if a baby comes, they will have to move as it is 40 miles from schools. Also, there is no nursery care. His wife works here also. They and many of the staff are Muslim. Living quarters are provided for the workers. And this is my daughter Renee by a huge leaf plant, showing off her jungle outfit. A light, quick-drying shirt, a backpack packed with a hat, bug spray, 2 water bottles, rain gear, first aid, electrolyte tablets, which her mother used, binoculars, light, quickly dried pants tucked into socks, netted leech garters over her lower
Oh,
legs.
is that what those are? Leech.
Oh, yeah. The type of shoes depend on the day, whether it's dry or wet. She also has sun gloves handy to keep the back of her hands from burning. Lastly, bug spray on exposed areas.
So was it very buggy?
Well, the leeches were bad, and we didn't think it was buggy until one day we thought, well, it's not buggy, let's not bother with bug spray.
Oh, no.
And then it got buggy.
Did you spray your clothing as well?
Previously with that product that you can wash clothing afterwards. All right.
Do we know what to pack?
Yep.
Do we
I
let
said we know what to pack now.
Yeah,
So we're
yes,
in every slide.
yeah. This lodge had a canopy walkway that we visited every day. It was about a mile from the lodge on a gravel road. When we drove in, I saw this. I knew we'd be coming every day, and I thought surely they'd give us a golf cart. No, no. These walkways among the canopy of the trees provide a way of seeing wildlife you would not be able to see from the ground. As we walked down this road, the sounds of the jungle were very apparent. Gibbon monkeys and bird calls are always in the background. Listen, can you hear them? Yeah, you hear? That was so nice to hear. I never did get my eyes on a gibbon. I mean, they were so close, but they were always, in the trees.
So about how high up are you off the ground
Yes,
in Canada?
yes, very high. This walkway reacted at every step, swinging back and forth. Be careful with your hands when it was swinging, because that deep area was pretty rough. were the only people, like we never had a problem with people going the opposite way or waiting for us on the canopy walkway. It just almost felt like we were there, but yet back at the lodge, I think there were maybe 150 people staying on the walkway. A sheep drive boat seen from the canopy walkway. This is a Borneo bristlehead, one of the endemic birds everyone wants to see. We saw this one on the first day out, no others after that. And our trip was named Broadbills and Bristleheads. So we were lucky to catch him. And some of my pictures will be seen through a telescope. And so this is a rhinoceros hornbill eating figs from the strangler fig vine. The strangler fig vine girdles the tree so it cannot grow and it will eventually die. The figs are about the size of blueberries. See how deftly he uses his massive bill to pick them. Mornings will pick me up the sun. What was it? A magnificent wild male orangutan seen through the telescope. Our first day out, we were very fortunate to see this male orangutan making his bed for the night. I later learned his name is Gotense. He is over 29 years old, a flanged male, which means he has large cheek pads. And I learned that they've done DNA on all these orangutans. Yeah.
What is their bed like? Do they tear little branches?
Oh, we're gonna get to that. Gotense used two trees, both the size you see. They were about 4 feet apart. He bent the branches between the trees, interweaving them to form a hammock. He broke off several small branches to lay on top to make a comfortable bed.
So do you see bunches of these as you go? Do they take it apart?
No. They would be further back. We're just lucky that these were along the walkway.
Oh.
They could be anywhere. These trees were approximately 18 inches in circumference. We saw him take one in each hand and move these twigs back and forth like twigs. just waving back and forth. Gotense is one of approximately 15 wild orangutans in this area, so there's not a lot. This is an old orangutan bed seen from the walkway. If fresh, the leaves would be green. Notice the nest supports are similar in size to the nest that Gotense was making.
Does other wildlife use them?
That I do not know. I would think they, might.
Be awfully handy to have a bed sitting right there if you were traveling through.
The next day, we found the exotic great Argus pheasant. Our guides had heard it calling. They found where he had cleared a spot to attract a female. The female was there when we arrived, but she immediately left.
He worked so hard for that female,
Yeah.
and you scared him away.
I know.
Are they like a pheasant in the way they use their wings or tails to attract the female?
Yeah, I'm going to show you more. Things are there one day and not the next.
Story of our lives here. Technology, our friend.
Listen, you will hear the call of the great Argus.
Construction site.
That sounds like, ooh, look at that.
In displaying, the wings make a circle over its back. The two long feathers tail feathers are straight up.
Yeah, that would.
I would stop and look at him.
And this is a telescope close up.
Love those.
Wow, they're so wings are gorgeous. They have problems with people killing them for the wing, feathers.
You're just one step ahead of me.
You keep asking questions, she's gonna do it.
Send her to the back of the room.
7 feet long.
Did anyone read The Feather Thief? Anyone
I
hear
did
of this
not.
book, The Feather Thief? Well, this bird's feathers were very rare and valuable because of the patterns on the feathers. And The Feather Thief is a true story about when feathers were so valuable. In fact, when the Titanic sunk, the feathers that were on board were more valuable than any of the jewels or other items that were lost on that ship.
Oh my goodness, really? Yeah, because during that time, it was so popular for women
Oh, yeah.
to have them
And
in
can
their
you
hats.
imagine going to the jungle and killing, finding these birds and bringing them back and getting those feathers back to civilization at that time?
Do you know how many are out there? Do you know how many are out there?
I don't right now. No, I never thought to ask that. And now we get to our leeches. Leeches were with us for 4 days in this hot, humid rainforest while standing on a muddy trail, waiting for a bird to appear. 6 were climbing up from the mud on my right shoe and 4 climbing up on my left. And even though I had the gaiters on and everything, I was really nervous about them crawling up my leg. So I was too busy to get a picture of that. But this is how they move, seeking warm, bloody bodies. They have suckers on both ends, which make them harder to remove. As soon as you get one end free, the other end is stuck to you.
Yeah.
And it was amazing because you didn't feel them, but all of a sudden I'd see blood on someone's shirt. And so underneath the shirt, they had bitten them and it was bleeding.
So the leech was on their body?
Yeah, under the shirt. And they inject in like an anesthetic so that you don't feel it. And then they also, in their body fluids, they have a anticoagulant. So it bleeds for quite a while.
Huh. Looking for blood.
Yeah, looking for blood. This is a hairy-backed booble sleeping. We went out after dark to find sleeping birds and sleeping or active mammals. Many interesting creatures are found, like this hairy-backed booble. They just sit there, don't even open their eyes. And this is a hairy-backed booble awake. This is a buffy fish-owl with one eye. We got to see him several times because we could identify him by his one eye. This is a northern crowned forktail sleeping. Just a beautiful little ball of black and white.
A squirrel or something?
Here he is awake.
That's what it is.
Oh, a bird.
That's what he looks like awake.
Once they curl up into a ball.
Yeah.
It's like a little
Yeah.
squirrel or something.
Yeah, beautiful.
Beautiful. And this is a black crowned cutter sleeping.
Beautiful.
We waited quietly for 45 minutes or more in the heat, humidity, and leech-filled mud while our guide used a mating call to lure this elusive bird. We did see shadowy wing flutters in the undergrowth, and then we found it at night. And this is a giant millipede on the entrance road to the lodge. Isn't he cute?
Bigger than our Phil looks.
Can you imagine little children having fun with those?
Yeah,
That's pretty.
It has a color in the markings.
it's like a nut.
That's my daughter plucking him up.
It's But they don't bite, because millipedes usually will bite. Besides in
Look at that, broadbill.
Yep, this is one of the birds that, that we were there to see. And notice this is black and yellow, because a little bit later, we're gonna see a black and red broadbill.
Is that a blue?
It
Yeah,
is.
it's say that.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
It's cute, isn't it? Yes.
It's a charming bird.
Mm-hmm. Looking around. And this is a red langur monkey. My daughter Renee noticed footprints in the mud beside the road to the canopy walkway. She heard a rustling sound and found a red langur monkey for us to see along the road. I also saw a lesser mouse deer scurrying under the undergrowth. The mouse deer are about 18 inches long and 12 inches high. And this is on that mile walk to the canopy. So we did see a lot of wildlife along that walk.
Oh, that's good.
Pretty cute. Borneo pygmy squirrel seen from the canopy walkway. This tiny squirrel weighs less than 20 grams.
Huh.
Borneo has 36 species of squirrels. A whiskered tree swift seen from the canopy. He's pretty cute. And then here's some answers to the height, questions to the height. This is the view from the highest point. The walkway was attached to the tallest trees without using heavy equipment on the forest floor. The cables were laid on the ground, then raised by manpower. The same with the walkway and the tree stands. This is a lesser green leaf bird. The thick vegetation made birds hard to see even if they were green. Thankfully, this one moved a lot. Isn't he beautiful?
Very well protected.
So now we're leaving this lodge and we're going to Sepalak, which is a 5-hour drive in 2 vehicles. Borneans drive on the left. The drivers were interesting and knowledgeable about their country. This is our next lodge. We will spend 2 nights at the Borneo Sepalak Lodge located in an area of lowland forest. Our accommodations are again a guest house with boardwalks leading to each. The walkways are lined with exotic flowers, fruits, and other plantings. And I gotta just tell you a quick story. My daughter, who loves all wildlife, heard a shriek outside of our lodge. And so she went dashing out to find one of the maids encountering a snake.
Oh.
So of course Renee said, no, I want to get a picture.
Do they have poisonous snakes?
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Oh, yeah. And close by this lodge is the Rainforest Discovery Center, which is a short distance. One of the forest canopy walkways, one of the finest canopy walkways in the world is here. It is 1,140 feet long with 85-foot high climbing structures. There are 2 well-placed towers to see canopy birds at eye level. And I was quite interested how many words were in English. This picture is taken from the highest of the 3 levels on this very stable and wide walkway. The midway level of the canopy walkway looks like this, and then the upper level would be where you see the tower there. This is an orange-bellied flower pecker. And, every day we'd go to the Discovery Center and we would walk past this lake. The Oriental darter was usually there. Timig's sunbird. We saw a variety of bird species, including this beautiful golden-naped barbet. This Bornean green magpie. The green imperial pigeon, which is 17 inches long, seen from the walkway. And then, exciting day on the tower when a young female orangutan came from our right side, worked her way to the left across short trees and shrubbery to climb a large tree for fruit. See how strong she is and how easily she climbs. She never took her eyes off of us. It was so much fun to watch her. She knew there was a vine with ripe fruit up there. She made herself comfortable eating fruit and watching us. I really think if we're closer, she might have offered us some.
Do they try to make sure that humans don't interact with the wildlife?
Well, unless they were on the walkway, it would be almost impossible. I mean, it's all jungle, jungle, jungle.
Impossible to interact with you.
Yeah, I mean, like unless they were on the walkway.
Yes,
I
I
don't know
know,
how you get to them.
yeah. You don't want them to get used to being fed by humans.
Oh, no. And they didn't even have to mention it. I never heard it mentioned, because it's pretty impossible for people in that environment to get close to them.
And do the animals tend to stay away from the walkways and things like that? They didn't encounter.
I couldn't hear you say.
Oh, the animals don't come out on the walkway? Like you didn't, the orangutan never came?
No, never saw anything like that.
Everything just stays up high in the trees, I guess.
So then she acted like she heard a noise behind her. I was hoping another orangutan would appear. And only mothers and young would be seen together. The males are always on their own, not even with other males. They just are simply on their own.
So they don't help with childcare, I guess.
Not at all. Not a smidgen. And unlike the gorillas, they don't even guard. They're just all live separate lives. This 5-inch long nest was made of woven dry leaves and stems and then covered with spider silk to hold it together. When you look into the jungle, there's just lots and lots of spider webs and butterflies. But the butterflies somehow avoid the spider webs. This is a very modern theater for cultural activities at the Discovery Center. Beautiful building. And Borneo has 12 species of kingfishers. 8 are found in this area of Sabah. We saw 5. Maryland has 1, the banded kingfisher. This is the stork-billed kingfisher. You can see why it was named that. The blue-eared kingfisher. The dwarf rufous-backed kingfisher. And then we saw the dwarf rufous-back sleeping at night. We went out after dark again and found more interesting creatures, like this Bornean pit viper at night.
Are they using special scopes to be able to see the birds at night?
No, these guys are all close. I mean, they're all with flashlight distance away.
Oh.
Yeah, no scopes. Yeah, we just put a flashlight on them and took pictures.
Interrupted their sleep.
This is a tarsier at night, which is a small primate. That was really rare and special to see. And the close-up of the tarsier,
Huge.
very large eyes for night vision.
And now
And
he's
notice his little fingers, how they have those like sticky little pads on the end of each finger for clinging.
like tree frog.
And then this was very special, the Bornean flying colugo, also called a flying lemur. This is its day sleeping position. It's hanging on with its back feet. Sometimes they use all 4 feet, and then its head is right here. Sorry, that isn't come out lighter so you could get more definition.
Wow.
They somehow carry their young when they fly. Don't point no, this is a better view of it on a tree trunk. You can see the flecks of skin that we have out of the wings.
Huh.
And then this is it from below, looking up as it's flying over.
Well, you had to be quick with your camera.
Thick membrane connecting its legs and also encasing the tail. Flying squirrels have a free tail, their tail is not encased. And this isn't my picture. I took liberty so that I could better illustrate with you, for you.
Now, did they use their tail as to,
Well, they can't,
to
but-
create their hanging,
no, they just use their legs.
just like,
Yeah.
How far do they fly?
I'm not sure, but I know flying squirrels can fly quite a ways, so I think these guys would be able to soar quite a ways also.
Yeah, they don't really fly, they glide.
Yeah, they glide.
Right, well,
Bull's frogmouth, which is a nocturnal bird, different looking. A walkway in the Botanical Garden Discovery Center. Notice the permeable sidewalk. I found Saba to be very environmentally aware. The rare protected Raha Brooks birdwing butterfly, the wingspan is 67 inches wide. We saw this on the plants. And a pigtail macaque was beside the road. We were, you see warnings about macaques, but we saw many. And they showed us just a very little bit of interest, no problems at all with them. And now we're gonna
Just a
get to-
warning because they could sometimes attack.
Well, they like your lunch.
Okay.
Instead of you carry a bag, they just might run up and grab it.
oh my, oh, that'd be funny.
So the giant flying squirrels, one evening, we joined about 100 people from all over the world. Now here the people appear on one of the walkways to watch giant flying squirrels leave their nest boxes for the night. See the box high up on the tree? Point it out to you in case, right up there, really high, right? When they jumped, they soared over everyone's head to the spectators' delight. So this giant red squirrel is almost ready to leave. As dusk settled in, the cicadas started chirping, the squirrels started peeking out from their boxes. Some were coming out looking around. There were several nest boxes to view, but not to miss anything, I just concentrated on the one that I was closest to. So this giant red squirrel is ready to glide 330 to 450 feet or more. So he's getting ready to go. The camera couldn't keep up. And then there's another one peeking out of the box thinking about going out for the night. But it was interesting how the cicadas were somehow timed for when the squirrels left. And I just had that feeling that that would happen as the cicadas came out and settled
Do they eat
home
the
for the
cicadas?
evening.
Do they eat the cicadas?
Not that
Maybe
I
that's
know
what
of.
it was dinner calling.
Not that I know of, but that was
Eat some of
very interesting. The next day on the canopy walkway, we saw this giant squirrel. Average length is 4 feet and weighs about 3 pounds. This one stayed very still. I think he thought he was hiding from us. And this is Wallace's hawk eagle by her nest. There was one white fuzzy baby in there. Our view high in the tower was almost even with this hawk's nest. After rain, this hole was filled with water to the delight of a bathing ruby-cheeked sunbird. We just stood and watched this little bird just have a ball in that little bit of water. He looks bedraggled, but he had a great time. And then here he is dry. And here's another one that isn't my photo, but for your information.
Is any problem missing there?
And this is an olive-backed woodpecker. Today we leave Persephaloc in the Discovery Center by boat. Ahead of us is a 3-hour ride on the mighty Kennebatongan River to Sakau. Oh, I wanted to show you.
4 to 5 foot.
This monitor lizard was laying on the concrete and it had to be 100 degrees that day. I don't know how he stood up. And this is Wallace's hawk eagle that we saw after we got into the boat. Rashman is our excellent new boat driver on the left, and Raman, our new local guide for the next 5 days. We had grown very fond of Ali, but we soon found Raman knowledgeable, personable, amusing, and as well liked. And Rashman was so good picking out wildlife from the boat and managing that boat. There was never any of the motor, never, ever, ever. He was very aware of photographers. He kept that boat smooth, just amazing. But he didn't speak much English because I asked if he couldn't be a guide because that would give him more income, but they said he just doesn't speak English well enough.
Now, when on a trip like this, are you paying in advance for their services, and do you still tip them?
I do, yes.
Is that common practice? What amount do people typically, what do they tell you to tip?
I gave Raman $100.
For the for the full 5 days?
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I gave him like 25, and I knew my daughter was giving him another 25.
Yeah.
And then our main guy, probably 400.
Okay, so the young man was with you the whole time?
We saw many sights on this river trip, including learning about swiftlets that make the nest for bird nest soup. This building attracts swiftlets by playing the swiftlets call. Normally, these birds nest in caves. However, this building type attracts the birds to build their nests here for easy harvesting after the young have fledged. These nests are made entirely of the bird saliva. People make a lucrative living selling these nests around $700 a kilogram.
So they make soup out of bird saliva?
Yeah,
Ooh.
so we saw these along the way as we're along the river, several of these houses. I did.
I guess you didn't have a bird's nest soup yourself.
No.
I know that.
This is a white edible nest swiftlet in flight, and the white nest is one of the most valuable. So this was outside of one of those houses where they were attracting swiftlets. And this is a tree of 7 proboscis monkeys seen from our boat. This river is notable for its diversity of primates, and it's also an important wildlife sanctuary. Long-tailed macaques, our first view of the long-tailed macaque. We'd seen the short-tailed. So now we have arrived at the Sukau Rainforest Lodge in the mighty Kennebatongan River. This magical place is comprised of flooded forest, abundant with primates and birds. This was my most favorite place. It is much larger than it looks from the river. More buildings and walkways go back into the trees. This lodge has recently been awarded status as National Geographic Unique Lodge of the World, one of only 25. All laundry is dried by the sun. Solar power is used to make electricity. This was the first place that offered laundry service, people. We found drying anything in this humidity was impossible. I was shocked to find the cost of a very small load of laundry was $38 American. The exchange rate was $1 to 5 ringgit. So my daughter brought 2 little fans so we could dry shirts like the one she had on. They would dry overnight. I mean, most anything else, like even lightweight pants, wouldn't dry overnight. But so I had a bag of laundry packed, this deep, and that wide with $38. But we tried to wash as much as we could, but some things are just hard. This boat was used by Alistair Cook for a documentary. Now it's used as a survey scout. Notice the large crocodile skull mounted on the front, and there were crocodiles. And native carvings of hornbills above the boat. And then 3 large stainless steel, and it's kind of hard the way the picture is, but there's 1, 2, 3, and then another one down there, actually 4, stainless steel food servers on each side. In every room, there were sarongs for the occupants, even small children. In our orientation, we were shown several ways to wear a sarong, and I'm here trying to remember how the instructions went. Most everyone wore their sarong for dinner, which I thought was pretty cool.
Unique ways.
So the men had more masculine styles. Renee is enjoying one of the 2 pools. There's a drink bar and a pool shower on the left, very civilized. A misty morning on the Kennebatongan River, beautiful. A tree of silvered linger monkeys cuddling and grooming, seen from our boat. Look at this guy, completely relaxed in his treetop lounge while being groomed.
Did you see much from your room?
Our room, the rooms were all like in a row here. And then there was a great big center area and lots of plantings and beautiful things in it. And the other side was another row of rooms. But if you looked out the back door, you might see some. But by the time we got back, it was evening and we were out of there by 5 in the morning.
Yeah, so now the room's faced outward.
Yeah, our first ones were, where we had our own individual little houses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there were windows all around. Crimson winged woodpecker, his eyes, they're all surrounded in white that makes them look almost look bulgy, but they weren't. Purple heron, our days on the river were just abundant with wildlife. And we were lucky to see this rare storm stork.
I take it the guides knew what all the birds were.
Oh, yes, very, very well versed, yes. And where to find them.
Mm.
And these were plume-toed swiftlets nesting in the bank right beside the river. We could take our boat right up next to them and it didn't stop them a bit from carrying food back and forth to their babies and going about their business. And here we're getting into where we see hornbills. Every day in the river, we added to our hornbill list. This is the black hornbill. They are large, powerful birds, 31 to 35 inches long. No problem seeing these guys. And we often heard the helmeted hornbill, but we never did see one. But I will play you his call because they're so fascinating. Go through the jungle.
Speak of the chuckler.
Yeah.
You know why the hornbill has such an oddly shaped room?
Well, no. That's evolution. And they have different varieties of bells. This is the wrinkled hornbill, but it's different than the one before. And this one is the bushy crested, and you can see he has a little different style. And here's the Oriental pine hornbill. And they were spectacular in flight, you know, when they flew over everybody. Look up.
Actually, that strange beat helps that sound to change.
And this is the majestic crown hornbill. I was wanting to see one of those. And there's a close-up of the white crowned hornbill. Another beautiful morning on the river. We would go out 2 times a day for 2 to 3 hours and most evenings again. And this is the dark hawk cuckoo.
What time of the year did you go and how long did it stay light?
How long did it stay light?
Yeah.
A long time. The days were long. And I went in June and came back July 3rd. And these are large guests going out for an evening boat ride. A lot of these people, a lot of them were honeymooners or newly married, you know, just there for a little vacation. And then here are the black and red broadbills. Remember, we saw the black and yellow before that had the blue on the bottom of their bill. We found their nests on a snag in the river. These same black, red broadbills are feeding chicks in this nest. Notice how loosely it appears to be constructed.
All the better for falling out.
Yeah, we hope not. And these men pick up trash they find in the river and put it in that large red container. They also check traps. I didn't find out what kind of traps they were, but I was quite fascinated that they cleaned up all the garbage in the river like that. This is an adult male proboscis monkey. So we started seeing the proboscis monkeys quite often. A female proboscis monkey and a female with young. And then way high up in the tree, 8 proboscis monkeys high in this fuzzy picture. And this is, you gotta keep your eyes on those distant trees. Red light jumping from branches and falling. Kingfisher.
There's another stork-billed kingfisher in a dead tree. Just about 1 o'clock of us. See my pointer there? Follow that tree all the way to this branch. Follow it in this, in the end of it. Oh wow. At the end of it.
What caused them to jump out of the tree like that? I don't think it was us. Now we're leaving Sukal Rainforest Lodge on this boat to go further up the Kennebatongan River, where a vehicle will take us to the Gramatong Cave area before we move on to the mountains of Pudasang. These caves are famous for thousands of bats emerging at dusk and for swiftlets that make the nest for bird nest soup. These caves are where the nest for bird's nest soup were originally harvested. Do you remember National Geographic reading where they actually went into the caves and found the nests and